All right, complex rhythms. Now, there are certain levels of complexity when it comes to rhythm, like syncopation blows everyone's mind. But we're not going to look at syncopation just yet. I'm calling this complex just because it's not as easy as basic. Now, basic rhythms are half notes, whole notes, quarter notes. Those are basic rhythms. Super basic, super easy. We've learned that already. Now we're going to do complex rhythms where we're adding eighth notes, 16th notes, and dots. Okay? So we already know our tree, right? We got a whole note. I'm going to draw it right here. And a whole note splits into two half notes. And then the half notes split into quarter notes. There are 4 quarter notes. Now it can split even further than this. So each quarter note can split into 2 eighth notes. I'm going to draw the different ways that you will likely see eighth notes put together. So you can see eighth notes by themselves, like so, with a little flag, or you see them in groups of 2, like standard music note, or you can see them in groups of 4, like so. How many beats does an eighth note get? Well, if this gets 4 beats and this gets 2 beats, this gets 1 beat. What's half of 1? It's a half. This gets a half of a beat, which means when we count it, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. This is how we notate this, okay? Now that we've got complex rhythms coming in, I'm not going to let you write your rhythms in just 1, 2, 3, 4. You got to write 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? So, eighth notes get half a beat. And just an FYI, we know that a whole rest is heavy, and then a half rest sits on top like a hat. A quarter rest is a nice squiggly. The eighth rest looks like a number 7 with a little ball on the end of it. That's an eighth rest. All right, now we're going to split even further. The eighth note gets split even more. 1, 2. This gets split into 16th notes. Now I will notate these in the various ways that you might see them. So over here, if you see them by themselves, they're just going to have flags on them. Okay? Now they'll have 2 flags in opposition with their eighth notes. Eighth notes got 1 flag, 16th got 2 flags. Or you could see them in groups of 2 with 2 beams. Or you could see them in groups of 4. Like so. I'll just do another group of 4 right here for the sake of it, just to fill it out. Okay, these are called 16th notes. How many beats does a 16th note get? Well, what's half of a half? A quarter. It gets 1/4 of a beat. Gets 1/4 of a beat. Now, do not confuse this with a quarter note. A quarter note is 1/4 of a whole note. 1/4 of a whole note. A 16th note gets 1/4 of a quarter note. That's why they call it 16th. 1, 2, 1, or these are 4 beats, 2 beats, 1 beat, half beat, quarter beat. Whole note, half note, quarter note, eighth note, 16th note. Now it just keeps dividing, and it can go even further if you really wanted to. The next one would be a 32nd note, and then after that a 64th note. And it just keeps dividing. If I had a 32nd note would be 3 flags, a 64th note would be 4 flags, or 3 or 4 beams, and it just gets smaller and smaller, and it can go as small as you really want it to, but why would you want to do that? For funsies. Yeah, no, let's not. So these are these rhythms. How do you count 16th notes? Well, let me tell you. We got already one and. So if that's one and right there, we add the E, one E and a, two E and a, three E and a, four E and a. One E and a, two E and a, three E and a, four E and a, whole note, half note, quarter, 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 eighth, 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 da 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 da. 16ths. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and it keeps going. After that, how do you count a 32nd note? How do you count a 64th note? We don't. We just like subdivide extra. Don't worry about it. Not something that we'll really encounter in junior high. Okay. So we know what these are. I sure hope you've written this down. And just an FYI, just like how this eighth note has one flag, this rest, a 16th rest has two little thingies. They're like seventh, I don't know. And then the 32nd has three, and it keeps going. Okay, I'm going to erase this. If you don't have this written down, then I suggest you pause the video and write it down now. Otherwise, I'm going to erase it because we're going to do some rhythm math and discuss a little bit about dots. Okay? Alrighty, Roo. Music is math. Music is science. Okay, let's pick a marker. This one. All right. I'm going to draw a series of notes, and you need to guess what the number is at the end. So if I wrote a half note plus a quarter note equals what? We know a half note is 2 beats, and a quarter note is 1 beat, therefore it equals 3. Make sense? All right, that was a test run. All right, here is whole note plus quarter note plus quarter note plus half note. Whole note, quarter, quarter, half. What does that equal? I'll give you 5 seconds to figure it out. All right. 4 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That equals 8. Okay. That was easy sauce. Okay, how about this? An eighth note plus a quarter note plus 2 16th notes plus a half note. Oh, it suddenly got complicated. Yeah, these are 16ths. I'm sorry that there's a glare. There's 16th notes right up there. Maybe I'll just write it lower. Eighth note plus quarter plus 2 16ths plus half note. Okay. So we got half plus 1 plus a quarter and a quarter and 2. So if I put these together, that equals 1/2, and I put these together, that equals 1. If I put these together, that's 2. I put these together, it equals 4. Right? Now that's how I think. I think that fast that way, but I know 5 seconds wasn't a lot of time, but this is just quick review, and this is a video, and you really don't want to just sit there and just be like Dora the Explorer. No. All right, next. How about a half note plus a 16th note plus a quarter note plus an eighth note? What could that mean? Or not what does it mean? It's just how many is it? How much is it? All right. We got 2 plus a fourth plus 1 plus a half. All right. So if I put these together, adding fractions, right? Put 2 fourths plus 1 fourth equals 3 fourths. That's 3. It's 3 and 3 fourths. Math! If you're not sure how to add fractions together, go ask a math teacher because I don't know the best way to explain that. It works in my head. All right, we'll do one more. Last one. Whole note plus 16th note plus 2 eighth notes plus a quarter note plus a quarter note plus a half note. Why am I writing it all the way up there? I don't even remember what I wrote down. Whole note plus a 16th plus a quarter. Oh no, it was 2 eighths. Plus 2 eighths plus a quarter plus another quarter plus a half note plus another 16th. What does that equal? Give you 5 seconds to figure that out. All right, we got 4, 1/4, we got a half and a half. I can already tell you that this equals 1. 1, 1, 2, and a fourth. Well, if I put these two together, that gives me a half already. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a half. 9 and a half. All right, rhythm math. Let's talk a little bit about how we deal with this 3/4 thing, another way to write these things, or something called a dot. So in music, we encounter notes with dots next to them. So if I had a half note, sorry, let's make that look more like a half note. There we go. Half note with a dot next to it. Can you see the dot? I hope you can see the dot in the video. So there's a dot next to it. What does the dot do? Okay, the dot adds half of its value. Say that with me 3 times. The dot adds half of its value. Again, the dot adds half of its value. One more time. The dot adds half of its value. What does that mean, Ms. Rodriguez? Half notes. What is the value of a half note? The value of a half note is 2. What's half of 2? It's 1. Half of 2 is 1. So if I had a half note plus a quarter note, it equals 3. Or a dotted half note. A dotted half note is 3. So instead of me writing half note plus quarter note, I could just write dotted half note. Makes sense? Now, it's easy when you think about it as a half note. Now we got to think about it if it was a quarter note. Okay, a dotted half note equals 3. Well, we've got a quarter note. What's half of 1? Half. So half beat is an eighth note. So a dotted quarter note gets 1.5 beats. Meaning if I want to complete it, I have to have another eighth note or rest somewhere else in the measure. Or if my time signature really is just that weird, because that exists, like 3.5/4. That is a time signature. Okay, dotted quarter notes. Same with eighth notes. You can even go further than that. What's half of an eighth? Half of an eighth is a 16th. So a dotted eighth looks like that. You got half and a quarter. Okay? So that's what the dots look like. Let's talk a little bit about how that looks like with the 16ths and the way we see them in 16ths. So we normally have 3, 4. We got a group of 16ths grouped in 4 16ths. That's just the way it is. If I were to tie these two together, just like that, this would end up looking like this. Sometimes they beam them together, so it's an eighth note and 2 16ths. Now, if I wanted to tie these ones together, then it would look like this, with a dot next to it and a small double line there. That is a dotted eighth 16th. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. Now you can reverse it in many different ways if you want. This can also be found like this with the dot on the second note and the 16th at the front. Or you could even find it, actually that would be a variation of this, like that. Anyway, I sure hope you all wrote that down. Now we're going to do 3 more rhythm math problems, but this time I'm going to include dots. 3, just 3. Just 3. Okay. Quarter note. Why am I writing it all the way up there? I'm sorry that I write it all the way up there. I'm used to writing it up here so that everyone in the classroom can see it, but I can't write it up there in the video because of the lights. Glare. All right. Quarter note plus eighth note plus dotted half note plus whole note. Okay. Quarter note plus eighth note plus dotted half note plus whole note. One plus a half plus 3, because a dotted half note is 2 plus 1, plus 4. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and a half. Okay. Question number 2. Dotted eighth note plus whole half note plus whole note plus 16th note plus quarter note. Dotted eighth plus half plus whole plus 16th plus quarter. A dotted eighth note. How many of these does a dotted eighth note get? Well, we've got half plus half of a half, which is a quarter, 3 quarters. It equals 3 quarters. Dotted eighth note is 3/4. Then a half note is 2, a whole note is 4, a 16th note is 1 quarter, and a quarter note is 1. I can already see this right here. These two notes complete each other. So that's 1 right there. So I got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This equals 8. All right, one more, last one. Okay. Two 16ths plus a dotted eighth 16th plus an eighth note plus a 16th note plus another 16th note plus an eighth note. Two sixteenths plus a dotted eighth, 16th, and then eighth, 16th, 16th, eighth. What could it mean? Yay, fractions. I don't like math. I'm not very good at math. Okay. All right, we've got here, that's a quarter, and that's a quarter. 2 quarters equal 1/2. All right, I know that. A dotted eighth, like we learned in the last one, is 3 quarters. And then another 16th is 1 quarter. That equals 1 already. Then we have half, quarter, quarter, half. If I put these together, that makes a half. Okay, and if I put these two together, that makes 1. If I put these two together, that makes 1. 1, 2, 3. 3, that equals 3. Da 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 da. Yeah, anyway. Complex rhythms. Now it can get even more complicated than that. But don't worry about that. We're not going to need to learn that stuff yet. We might need to learn it, but we'll get to it when we get there. Okay, if you have any questions, please message me, let me know, and complete the assignment, which is basically telling me I watched the video, Miss Rodriguez. Sorry that it was so long, but there was a lot to cover when it comes to complex rhythms, and I wanted to give you also a chance to kind of see it in action and put it together, which is why we did the rhythm math. All right, good luck.